Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is from Canto 2, Chapter 8, Questions by King Pṛcchato. And this morning we're doing text 24. And we're also very fortunate to have, for the first time at least, for our temple, a new speaker. She's connected with ISKCON DC. Her name is Anandarupa DD. So she's going to give the class this morning. And you will see her quite often also. She's agreed to be a regular speaker for us. So she is, just a little background, disciple of His Holiness, the late Gopal Krishna Swami. So that's the main introduction for her. Of course, we all connect and our existence is based literally on the mercy of our spiritual master. So that's the most important thing. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please unmute. Please unmute. Hit the button that is. We can't hear you now.
I think you can unmute for her.
I got it. I was muted.
Okay, all right.
Please accept my most humble obeisances, Prabhuji and dear devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Gauranga. Thank you so much for this opportunity to engage in loving devotional service, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shravanam and Kirtanam in the Sadhu Sangha.
If I can tell you a little bit about the format, the way we do it here, you're very much at liberty to sing Jai Radha Madhava first, and then, Prema Dwani prayers if you want to do that. When it comes to the class itself, usually the speakers would chant the text, the verse 3 times, and then let other devotees chant if they want to. And then from then on, it's up to you. We'll go on up to almost quarter off, and then between quarter of 10 off, and then the devotees kind of ask questions if they want to. So that's the format. Hare Krishna. So please take it over. You can start with Jai Radha Madhava if you want to do that. Hare Krishna. Oh, one more thing before you start. I'll make you co-host, so if you want to share the screen, you certainly can do that. That's also there. Hare Krishna. That's all.
So, Prabhuji, that's fine. Right now, you have shared the verse. So, till I read the purport, you can just, share the screen and then unshare it. So, I won't need any sharing after that. And we can have the grid view or whatever view you want to keep the Zoom on.
All right. That's fine. I understand. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I will be reciting Prabhupada Pranati, followed by the prayers and the invocation, Srimad Bhagavatam invocation prayers. So please join me. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajitam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishmanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirye shravtam swakatha krishna punya shravana kirtana hridayantasto bhadrani vridhunoti suhritsatam nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagvat sevaya bhagvate ruttam shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtiki Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So before even I begin reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, I am seeking blessings of Vaishnavacharyas, all the well-wishers, the saintly souls who are present, who we are aware of and who we may not be aware of around us. And it is my most humble prayer. I may recite from Srimad Bhagavatam based on Srila Prabhupada's purports, based on teachings of Vaishnavacharyas in the way it is intended to be. Hare Krishna. So we are doing Canto 2, Chapter 8, verse number 24. Sarvam etac bhagavan pṛcchato me nupūrvaśaḥ tattvato rhasy udāhartuṁ prapannāya mahā-mune. Sarvam etac bhagavan pṛcchato me nupūrvaśaḥ tattvato rhasy udāhartuṁ prapannāya mahā-mune. Sarvam etac bhagavan pṛcchato me nupūrvaśaḥ tattvato rhasy udāhartuṁ prapannāya mahā-mune. Hare Krishna. Anyone else would like to recite the verse? Please go ahead if you are comfortable doing that.
Sarvam etascha bhagavan pṛcchato nupūrvaśaḥ tattvato yasya udāhartuṁ prapannāya mahā-mune. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Sarvameta cha bhagavan pṛcchato me nupūrvaśaḥ tattvato rhasy prapannāya mahā-mune. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else wants to go? All right.
सर्वं च भगवन् पृच्छतो मे अनुपूर्वशः तत्त्वतो अर्हसि उदाहर्तुं प्रपन्नया महामुने. हरे
Hare Krishna. If that's okay, I would like to go to translations.
Absolutely.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O great sage, representative of the Lord, kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you and all that I may not have inquired from you from the very beginning of my questionings. Since I am a soul surrendered unto you, please impart full knowledge in this connection. So before I read from the purport, I want to quickly talk about who is the speaker of these lines, who is the listener, and what is the background. And so it will make sense for those who are reading this after a long time, or maybe, after some time or first time. So this chapter, Canto 2, Chapter 8, is titled Questions by King Parikshit. And as we know, this whole entire Bhagavatam was narrated by Shukdev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. And later on, it was recited in several other occasions. Eventually, we also read that it is being recited by Sutta Goswami to the sages at Namsharanya. And then there is nesting of dialogues or conversations. So there is a conversation between Vidur and Maitreya going on. And then there are several pastimes. So now when King Parikshit, he is cursed to die in 7 days. In all sincerity, he approaches Shukdev Goswami and surrenders to him. This is the background, and this process of surrender is very deep, and we learn through the course of this Shravan and Kirtan, reading and hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, the process of surrender, the name, form, activities, pastimes of the Lord being narrated by the saintly souls. And wherever this narration is done, the audience or the sincere seeker or the sincere listener or the one who is presenting his inquiries, their qualities, their mood, their surrender has been described. So this chapter, which has several verses from beginning up till this point, where King Parikshit has presented humbly, sincerely, many questions before Shukdev Goswami. And here in this verse, at this point, it's highlighted that, what we have just read in the translation, which after reading purport, I will further share what we need to additionally meditate on regarding how to present our inquiries in front of seniors, spiritual masters, mentors, saintly souls. So let's go ahead with the purport. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The spiritual master is always prepared to impart knowledge to the disciple, and specifically when the disciple is very inquisitive. Inquisitive on the part of disciple is greatly necessary for the progressive disciple. Maharaj Parikshit is a typical disciple because he is perfectly inquisitive. If one is not very inquisitive about self-realization, one need not approach a spiritual master simply to make a show of discipleship. Not only is Maharaj Parikshit inquisitive concerning all he has inquired about, but he is also anxious to know about what he has not been able to inquire. Factually, it is not possible for a man to inquire about everything from the spiritual master. But the bona fide spiritual master is able to enlighten the disciple in every way for the disciple's benefit. Hare Krishna. So, as I mentioned earlier, Prabhuji, if you like, you can unshare the screen, and or you can just leave it if you like. Okay. So, as I was mentioning earlier, the chapter is titled Questions by King Parikshit. So King Parikshit, as I was preparing for this talk yesterday was Radha Ashtami, and most of us, we had the great fortune, we participated in some way in this great celebration. And I will be shortly mentioning some of the great inspiration we can take from Srimati Radharani also in this life of devotional service. Inquisitiveness is one of them. And so let's focus on that first. So King Parikshit inquired from Shukdev Goswami. He asked him many questions. He asked about Narad Muni. He said, how did Narad Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma, explain transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is without material qualities, and before whom did he speak? Now, please note that maybe after the class, and those who are interested, you can revisit this chapter at a high level. There are several questions presented by King Parikshit. There is a quality to the questions, the kind of questions he asked. There is a mood for which, we are reading this verse today. And so there are many wonderful things to understand in order to make spiritual advancement, in order to present our doubts and questions and get them clarified in a proper mood. What is the process? What is the way we should do it? And what we can learn more about spiritual master or the speaker. And then we know Supreme Lord is all wonderful. He possesses wonderful potencies, and his narrations are very auspicious for all living beings on the planet. Many years back when I started to read Srimad Bhagavatam, and I learned it's cruel not to share Krishna. One becomes envious. It's not just about being in material consciousness. It has to do with this great science of Krishna consciousness should be freely shared and as much possible. So there is so much stress on hearing and chanting as prime two processes in the 9 process of devotional service. So in order that we can become more focused, more attentive, we can place our mind on the Supreme Soul and become completely freed from material qualities before we leave this body. The whole process has been described, how we can approach the saintly souls so that we can benefit the most by their association, by their mercy, by their grace. And so even before, right here today, when I recited the Srimad Bhagavatam prayers, I began with Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamuktiriyet. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. So what happens is, regular attendance in the classes of Srimad Bhagavatam is not just about, well, it's really wonderful if someone can just appear and do some hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, but eventually one should learn what is the right approach of giving an oral reception to Srimad Bhagavatam. And just by hearing doesn't mean only hearing. It also has to do with other communication skills also. It has to do with how we are understanding the information, and if we are getting any doubts, how we are presenting our questions. So Parikshit Maharaj says earlier that persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking matter very seriously will have personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time. And this is the Falshruti, this is the blessing, this is the benediction, absorbing this knowledge of the Supreme Lord in the appropriate way, by presenting inquiry and then clarifying doubts and then understanding, blesses one with Krishna consciousness, actually pure Krishna consciousness. Eventually, that is the promise. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he makes so many promises, he gives so many assurances, right? So, all right. We have heard about Chatushloki Gita in Bhagavad Gita, right? There are some beautiful verses there. One of them says, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So it is not just a conversation devotees have amongst each other, or sitting in an assembly where a speaker is beautifully narrating the pastimes. There is an exchange of knowledge goes on. The hearer may have some doubts and they may present their inquiries. That's what is being talked about here. So now, in this way, we read, just very quickly, I will touch on, he asks several questions. He says a lot of what questions, why questions, right? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you? So Parikshit Maharaj is asking questions to who? Someone really quick, please speak aloud or raise your hand. I'm trying to make sure some of you who join little later are in the flow. So the questions I'm talking about in this chapter, Parikshit Maharaj is asking questions. Yes, Niru Mataji, he is asking these questions or presenting these questions to which
Shukdev Goswami Mataji.
Shukdev Goswami, correct. And Shukdev Goswami is the one who is narrating the Srimad Bhagavatam as we start reading from beginning. But how did he learn the Srimad Bhagavatam? He was imparted this knowledge by Sage Narad. Who did Sage Narad learn this from? Anyone? Hare Krishna. Sage Narad was imparted this knowledge by Sumita Mataji.
Lord Brahma Mataji.
Very good, Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma by Supreme Lord. And who is Sage Narad's father? Yes, Niru Mataji.
Lord Brahma Mataji.
Okay. So now, in this assembly where Shukdev Goswami is narrating Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many sages, there are many demigods, great sages are sitting there. Vyasdev himself is present there. Who is else there? Yeah, Suta Goswami. Later he narrated Srimad Bhagavatam to the sages at Naimsharanya. Shaunak Rishi was the spokesperson. So as I was saying earlier, Parikshit Maharaj is asking all these several questions. He says, O learned Brahman, the transcendental spirit soul is different from material body. Does he acquire body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain? If Supreme Lord, from whose abdomen lotus stem sprouted, if he has gigantic body according to his own caliber and measurement, then what is the specific difference between body of Lord and those of common living entities? Now you may be wondering why I am going through all these questions which have already been covered before verse 24 in this chapter. This is to have some background that if someone presents inquiries in a mood of inquisitiveness, by the way, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 4 categories of people approach Krishna. Okay, so the person Jigyasu, inquisitive person is one of them, and there are 3 other, one who is in distress, one who is seeking wealth, and one who is seeking knowledge. So everyone is welcome. Krishna accepts everyone to approach him through either directly or through disciplic succession. However, then what is the process to be followed? By approaching, what does it mean? By approaching, Krishna means these souls can present inquiries. They can offer prayers. They can engage in devotional service. So now, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, please also explain personality of Godhead who lies in the heart as super soul and as Lord of all energies, but is untouched by his external energy. O learned Brahman. So like this, again and again, he first glorifies Shukdev Goswami. But here, in this specific verse, he addresses him as Bhagavan. O Lord, he's saying him. We know there is only one Bhagavan, Supreme Lord, but he is giving respect. He's respectfully glorifying Shukdev Goswami. So, and then I was talking about when someone presents inquiries, what kind of inquiries are there? He's saying, I have heard about different planetary systems. They are supposed to be in the body of Virat Purush. What is their actual position? Will you please explain that? Will you please explain that? Also, please explain the duration of time between creation and annihilation and all that, all the technical subjects. He's saying, please explain duration and measurement of life of different living beings known as demigods, human beings. O purest of Brahmins, please also explain cause of different durations of time, both short and long, as well as beginning of time followed by course of action. Then he says, kindly describe how proportionate accumulation of reactions resulting from different modes of material nature, they act on desiring living being, promoting or degrading him among the various species of life. So just see the kind of questions he has asked, the quality of questions he has asked. And he's saying, please also describe how the creation of globes throughout the universe, the 4 directions of heavens, the sky, planet, star, mountain, rivers, seas, islands, as well as different kinds of inhabitants take place. He's saying, oh, best of Brahmins, please describe. And he says, please explain all different ages in the duration of creation and duration of such ages. Please explain, please, please, please. Kindly explain all about elementary principles of creation. I'm just not going through the entire thing, just touching on them so that all of us can come up to the speed. We can understand that it's not just simply someone approaching and holding the feet and saying, please bless me so I can, just achieve whatever. So it's very important when we approach the saintly souls, not only, by now, Parikshit Maharaj has already done some shravanam. He has already heard some information, some transcendental knowledge from Shukdev Goswami. So it is not like he's like, okay, I know enough what I need to know. And, I need to now run for prasadam. No, it's not like that. So there are so many skills nowadays people work on, active listening, and they try to enhance their listening abilities so they can understand their subject better. So they feel empowered to further work on different things. So similarly, devotees also, they need to listen attentively before even they present their inquiries, before they present the questions. And that also has an approach, how the questions should be presented. So now, in this way, I didn't cover the whole list, but all get the idea. Now I'll come to the main point of this verse. So King Parikshit, hearing from Shukdev Goswami, he is earnestly inquiring. Everyone gets the idea, since I went through the whole list of questions. The topics are around spiritual truth, reflecting his deep surrender. And Parikshit Maharaj, he is thirsty for understanding. He has a background. He is going to leave the body in 7 days. So he feels the urgency even more. And he is a sincere soul. He is sincere. So now as we will talk about this further, we'll understand the power of devotional hearing, Shravan, the authority of Guru, and how the Bhagavatam, being the transcendental sound incarnation of Lord, it cleanses the heart and purifies the consciousness. If one's mood and approach is of sincerity, humility, and surrender is being mentioned here. And so this is an ideal disciple's attitude or spirit. It is continually curious, humble, surrendered, and open. So when he says, "O great sage," when I read the translation, it said, "O great sage, representative of the Lord." He says bhagavan, representative of the Lord. That's how it's translated. He says, "Kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you and all that I may not have inquired from you from the very beginning of my questionings." So 3 things are very clear to us. Number 1, inquisitiveness, that Parikshit Maharaj, he isn't passive. He actively seeks clarity, even on topics he hasn't even thought to ask. So he has that intelligence, right? And as I said earlier, from chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "I give the intelligence to these souls who are eager and constantly conversing about me. They are engaged in my loving devotional service. I give them the intelligence." So not everyone is inquisitive. Often we will see in an assembly of, in an audience, not everybody comes up with questions. And also there is a mood in which the question is presented. I'm remembering of an incident where Srila Prabhupada was giving a talk in one of the universities, and from audience, one person asked, "Why do you wear that tilak on your forehead?" He asked in a very challenging tone. Prabhupada glanced at him and he said, after thinking about it, and then he said, "Why do you wear that tie?" The person was taken aback. He pondered and he quietly sat down. But later on, they got together, and so it was explained that Prabhupada said to him that never approach in a challenging manner. If you want your doubts to be clarified, it's okay to ask questions. Take care of your mood and tone, how you're asking. So, so there is inquisitiveness and there is recognition of Guru as a divine representative, Bhagavan. So that way one can approach with deep trust, with faith. The person they're asking question, they can approach them with trust, and then they can understand from them in a proper mood. And then there is a surrender attitude. So Parikshit Maharaj's inquiry is rooted in humility and submission. So in this way, when someone presents any questions or inquisitive, which are inquisitive in nature, when they are combined with respect and submission, it invites full enlightenment and prevents offenses and misunderstandings. This is very important to understand. I was thinking of one of the verses from Sri Shikshashtakam, the 8 verses Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave for understanding what should be our mood to be better in chanting the holy names. Tranadapi sunichena, that's the famous verse, right? Tranadapi sunichena, tarurapi saheshuna, amanena manadena, kirtanya sada hari. What does that mean? That verse talks about in order that we can chant the holy names always properly, one should have tranad api sunichena. One should chant in a humble state of mind, more tolerant than a tree. Thinking tranad api, thinking oneself lower than a blade of grass. Okay, so that is the mood, and giving respect to others and not expecting respect from them for themselves. In that mood, when one chants, for us it translates to, in that mood, we should engage in devotional service. So this reading, hearing, asking questions, anything around the name, form, activities, glories of the Lord, it's all devotional service. So this is the mood we should have. Not to challenge the speaker, not to come in an arrogant or judgmental mood, to glorify. He's addressing him as Bhagavan. Now, how we can translate it for our practical day-to-day lives? So when we are in an audience, as an audience, we are listening from great saintly souls. We can directly, in a mood of humility, ask about certain topics which are in discussion, which will give us better understanding. We can invite the saintly souls to reflect on their own journey, or times when sincere questionings deepened their understanding, like we talk about Srila Prabhupada and his pastimes. And in this way, the newcomers or neophytes, or the ones who are seeking to make spiritual advancement, they will feel encouraged by such respectful inquiries. So now I want to share with you all few things I made a note of I want to share today. I talk about such inquiries have questions often like why, what. So I have an acronym called WHY, why. We understand from our life itself that questions are doorway to realization. So the quality of our questions determine the depth of our spiritual progress also in spiritual life. From Maharaj Parikshit's questions, we can see he demonstrates inquiry in the highest mood of surrender. We have example of Arjun from Gita. He also asks questions from a surrendered heart. He asks so many questions to Krishna. And similarly, we will see, some of you may remember or some of you will eventually learn from Srimad Bhagavatam. Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukdev Goswami, what is the duty of a man who is about to die? Then why do devotees suffer? Eventually in Canto 7 in Lord Nrsingadev's pastimes, this question comes up. Why do devotees suffer? And then in Canto 6, Ajamil's pastime. The whole Srimad Bhagavatam has so many examples. I picked up a couple of them which are very well known so everyone can relate. What is the atonement for sinful life? That question was asked. So this acronym Y, W stands for worthwhile questions. One should ask questions that will benefit the eternal self. H is the humility in inquiry, the quality, how one's mood should be. Because knowledge comes only to surrender, not the proud. And why is the yearning. So we have inquisitive, being inquisitive is called jigyasa, Sanskrit word, and there is yearning, another word, yearning. It is called yearning means lalsa. So in a bit, I will touch on that. One thing leads to another, and actually it's cyclic. Yearning may lead to inquisitiveness, and inquisitiveness may lead to yearning. So we should seek not just the answers, but full guidance from a realized soul, and how this transmission happens again and again throughout in the pastimes of the Lord. We will see all the saintly souls, either they are approaching the Supreme Lord and presenting their questions in this mood we are talking about, or other souls are approaching the saintly souls, and this is the mood. So now Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj, he asked questions that matter eternally, and they are about Krishna, devotion, life after death, dharma, and these are not mundane materialistic topics, right? Arjuna asks about dharma and Krishna consciousness. Yudhishthira asks about duties of kings and the personal dharma. I mean, this is all in earlier chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. So there are some quotes by Srila Prabhupada I want to mention here that will really help everyone. Prabhupada would constantly refer, we read in the purpose, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. It means inquiring about the absolute truth. And this is the very first aphorism in Vedanta Sutra. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Jigyasa is inquisitiveness. So one should inquire about absolute truth. And then material questions are like chewing the chewed. Spiritual questions, they refresh the soul. So next time, if someone is confused how approaching a saintly soul, what should I talk about? You don't take your birth chart for astrology predictions. How I can pacify my planets in current times and become happy. One should ask, how can I, why am I suffering? How I can become happy? And then in this way, one can ask about Krishna, not politics. And in this way, Prabhupada would say, Krishna will save you. Because he also mentioned, worthless questions waste time, worthy questions liberate. My Guru Maharaj would say, intelligence is measured by depth of our questions. We must become professional questioners of Krishna, not of worldly things. And so, few days back, we were reading from one of the books by Bhakti Tirth Swami. And incidentally, preparing for this talk, I checked it up because I remembered. He said, ask not what is in it for me, but what is in it for Krishna. And transformation begins with questions we allow ourselves to ask. So earlier, there were beautiful chapters actually in this canto. Change of heart, transformation of heart, and so on. And when the minute we start digging deep into Srila Prabhupada's books or spiritual books, everybody starts thinking about transformation of heart, purification. So it is very closely tied to the jigyasa, inquisitiveness. And so now let's come back to, this was the in the acronym WHYY, worthwhile questions. What kind of questions we should be presenting in our inquiry? H stands for humility in inquiry. So how does Parikshit Maharaj show humility? He says, I am surrendered, please instruct me. So humility, we understand, is the gateway to full knowledge. I remember from childhood times, we learned by practice, by observing and being reminded by parents and elders. Always greet your teachers. Be humble. Help your teachers. So often it comes in our upbringing. And for those who never had that experience, we learn through Sadhu, Guru and Shastra. So Bhagavad Gita has a verse in chapter 4, very famous verse. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. The verse says, approach a guru with humility and service, and in a mood of surrender, serve the guru and present your inquiries, and he will enlighten you because he knows the truth. So, humility is an ornament of inquiry. Even a child can teach us Krishna if we are humble. You know, Giriraj Swami, he wrote the book, Watering the Seed. We read about Bhakti Lata, devotional creeper in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and great details about it. And the description or the purports talk about the more humble we are, the more nectar the Guru can pour. The Bhakti Lata grows in the soil, fertile. This fertility is determined by humility and our eagerness. So Bhakti Lata Bij, and Bhakti Lata, these we understand require, it's metaphorical, but the way to understand is humility is what is needed. Humility and other qualities of eagerness. And so now we often observe that real leaders, they ask questions with folded hands. Why would they do that? It is a simple thing we can observe and learn from it. So often people admit their ignorance openly. They're being honest and humble, and they avoid showing off their knowledge. In an audience, sometimes we will see that there are some senior devotees who participate in spiritual talks, but they will stay quiet. That is their humility. That's their magnanimity. So just some practical insights are: fold hands before asking spiritual questions, listen more than you speak, record, make notes of all the instructions humbly in a journal, seek feedback from seniors, and observe humility in devotional, other saintly souls. So in this way, this mood of humility can be put in practice. Many times, I remember once His Holiness Ramapad Maharaj was giving a talk here on humility and tolerance. This is like about 3 decades back, I still remember. So someone asked the question, how can I'm not gifted with humility and tolerance, that person said. So Maharaj, how can I get that? So he explained nicely several points, but he said, you have to put it in practice, humble behavior. In the end, he said, fake it till you make it, which means even if you are not blessed with it or born with it or were raised with it, just copy it till it becomes a part of your second nature. So that was about what kind of questions with W, H, humility, and now the Y in the acronym. How are we doing with the time? We are almost done. Okay, I'll try to complete this talk in a few minutes. Why is the point I was mentioning earlier, yearning, lalsa, yearning for complete knowledge. So Parikshit requests answers even what I did not ask. Please share with me. Please enlighten me with the answers even what I did not ask. It shows deep yearning for full knowledge. So devotees yearning for Krishna and spiritual subjects brings enlightenment beyond casual questions. Prabhupada would say, the more you want Krishna, the more he comes to you. Don't be satisfied with partial knowledge. Yearning is a fire that invokes Krishna's presence, and one who sincerely yearns for Krishna gets him. So we learn from our spiritual practices over time that if we cry for Krishna daily, he will respond in all different ways. So yearning should be for Krishna, not for Krishna's gifts. He is not an order supplier, right? So if the heart yearns, the holy name dances on the tongue. And it's not just the holy name, it's about devotional service. That is the soul's prayer. I cannot live without Krishna. That is the ideal platform or stage we have to come to. So there is a quote by Bhakti Swami. He would say, our spiritual bank balance is measured by yearning. And yearning transforms beggars into lovers of spirits. So why are we talking about yearning? We were talking about inquisitiveness, and I have the acronym WHY. But why did I pick yearning for why? So yearning or deep longing for Lord and inquisitiveness are closely connected, but they are in natural sequence. So at first, a sincere seeker develops inquisitiveness. He may have these kind of questions. Who am I? Who is God? What is the purpose of life? How do I serve? This inquisitive mood is described in, earlier I referred to it, Srila Prabhupada says, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. It is described in Vedanta Sutra that now therefore inquire into Brahman. And when such inquiry is nourished by sadhu sangha, hearing and chanting, it gradually deepens into heartfelt yearning to experience and serve the Lord. So in this way, by asking questions, by inquisitiveness, it leads to yearning. And then how yearning leads to inquisitiveness further? It's cyclic. It's cyclical, they say. On the other hand, once the soul develops a even small spark of yearning, an inner attraction or pull towards Krishna, that yearning fuels deeper and deeper inquiries. And one becomes restless until all doubts are cleared, all truths are understood, and one's relationship with the Lord is realized. It may happen in one lifetime or it may happen in several lifetimes. That's a separate thing. But this is a journey, right? So inquisitiveness awakens yearning, and yearning intensifies inquisitiveness. We all, most of us have heard of Srila Rupa Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis. He explains devotional life begins with lalsa, desire, atau shraddha, then association, then inquiry, practice, and at a higher stage, this matures into greed, lobh, or yearning for loving service. So inquisitiveness is the doorway, yearning is the flame, and once flame is lit, it makes our inquiries even deeper. So coming back to, let me bring up the verse. So very quickly wrapping this up, for us in our spiritual and practical day-to-day life, the applications, we should cultivate heartfelt curiosity. You know, this is not just talking, I'm talking about sitting in a class and how to present question. Day-to-day practical application. We can begin our day with one heartfelt questions like, what is my heart truly seeking today? And we may or may not engage with a mentor. So in this way, and then our exchange should be based on humility. Now, regarding offenses, we read there are seva aparad, there is nama aparad, there is vaishnava aparad. So if we ask, we can prevent offenses if we ask clarifying questions with a loving tone. Could you help me understand? Kindly explain. And I went through all those verses, the questions Parikshit Maharaj asked for this reason only, so that we can get the tone, we can see the way the questions were framed. Okay, so that's how it should be done, rather than patterns that may presume, judge, or assert. So now this point is especially helpful for those who may unintentionally have some arrogance or some judgmental tone. You know, sometimes people are not doing it intentionally, it's unintentional. So they can become more aware of it and they can fix it. Now, Radhashtami, which we celebrated, I mentioned it on purpose. It was Srimati Radharani's appearance day, and we read her so many qualities. She embodies the perfect devotee, filled with sweet, humble love and deep inquiry into Krishna. So there is so much to learn about her mood. Okay, she is always inquisitive, always surrendered, and always engaged in loving service of the Lord. So now, in this way, let me go back to this verse 24, making sure I have covered everything. So this is magnanimity of spiritual master, or the soul who is imparting knowledge, that they will impart even that knowledge which is inquired about, but also what the disciple has not inquired. The last statement says, Prabhuji, if you can, Parikshit, Prabhuji, if you can share the purport. The last statement in the purport says, factually, it is not possible for a man to inquire about everything from the spiritual master, but the bona fide spiritual master is able to enlighten disciple in every way for the disciple's benefit. How does that happen? We all know Krishna as Paramatma is there in every heart. So he knows, he guides. All right, so it's almost 9. At this point, I would like to invite any comments, any questions, and we can go from there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm sorry I could not. I was on a different page in the Bhagavatam, so I couldn't pull the purport early enough. But
Yeah,
anyway,
you can just bring it to the last section, and if anyone wants to take a look, yeah. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a very enlightening class. And when you had the acronym WHY, why, we're asking worthwhile questions, and adopting humility as a background for asking questions, and also yearning, the greed for the question, brought it all up so nicely. Thank you, Mataji, very much. Dear devotees, this is the time. Depending on your situation, you can unmute yourself and ask questions. Today is a holiday for a lot of people, so the job usually shouldn't be a situation. Your job, some people cannot. They just have to listen quietly. But today may not be. You may have the freedom to just simply, jump in and speak from where you are. So, any questions? Any take homes that struck you want to share with everybody? Ask questions. Questions are being asked in this particular chapter, so this is the thing that we also can learn from. Okay, so any questions? Anyone? Just unmute yourself and go for it.
you are also welcome to share if you liked anything in this verse or this talk. Yes, Niru Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna, all the devotees, please accept my most humble obeisances. Mataji, I loved the session. Throughout, we learned what are the important aspects that must be kept in mind while asking questions in front of your spiritual master. That was really a great learning we took with us today through this session. Very beautifully explained the acronym why. I loved it, Mataji. And great learning I'm taking away with me, that yearning and humility are the keys. The more we yearn to learn, the more we will be inquisitive, and humility definitely is the key. Thank you so much, Mataji. We love the session. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I appreciate you shared what you are taking back from this session. We all just need to remember our inquiries, to keep them as much gentle, inclusive, uplifting, respectful. That's it. it helps in every way to be connected to the speaker, to be connected to the topic, and feel eventually there is some empowerment which happens. Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna. I think there is, anyway, any questions from anyone else? There is one in the chat, but usually we'll take questions from the devotees directly before we go to the chat. So, any questions so far? If not, then Bhakti Monica is asking Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, how to know the heart of a spiritual master? How do you understand whether one is going right or doing maybe, now that I read the whole question, okay. How do you understand whether one is doing right or doing aparats unintentionally? Peace and humble obeisances. Okay. He wants to know the heart of the spiritual master and also whether you understand how to know whether the person is doing the right thing or committing aparats unintentionally.
These are beautiful questions, so I will go one by one. Actually, I would like to open this question to others in the on this call as well. Parikshit Prabhu, if you would like to first address this in any way you feel comfortable, I will of course speak after that. So Anusuya Prabhu, Parikshit Prabhu, any of you want to go ahead and address this? Have any comments on this? Otherwise,
Hare Krishna. Peace and humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. As soon as I finished reading the question, a question came to my mind. So that's what I'm going to put out first, if you don't mind. The first sentence, how do you know the heart of a spiritual master? And I just thought, do I need to know the heart of a spiritual master as a disciple? I don't know that I've thought about it that way, because I was training to serve the spiritual master, but the heart of the spiritual master, well, I don't know. I could tell you some of the things that Gogovinda Maharaj said about spiritual master, but still it doesn't address the heart of a spiritual master. The aim of the spiritual master is to enlighten us so that we will be on the path back to Godhead. Mm-hmm. And we also the compassion to try to get as many people to get on the path back to Godhead. That's the way we're supposed to be trained to do. But I see the heart of a spiritual master as a private matter altogether. I've been living with Bhakti Maharaj for a while. That's what I can tell you. Because that part, I've overheard some conversations, but that's when he's talking to very, very close and intimate God brothers. Then he reveals something. So I say bits and drabs. I don't wait to hear it because it's not my conversation. But I see his mood is very different when he's speaking to some of his God brothers he's very close to. And then they're sharing things. So in one sentence, I don't know the heart of the spiritual master. I'm just a servant of the spiritual master, period. That's what I'm going to say about this. Hare Krishna.
Do you want to mention anything about the second question, Prabhu?
Oh, the second question, let me just go back to chat and say, okay. How do you understand whether somebody's doing the right thing or doing aparats unintentionally? When we learn from our senior devotees, we would know what's right and what's wrong. When we learn from the spiritual master, we will know what's right, what's wrong. Therefore, we take guidance. And if you follow the guidance of the pure devotee, of the spiritual master, of the experienced devotee, and follow that, then we're being groomed to be proper devotees. How doing aparat sometimes unintentionally? Yeah, it's all part of the learning process. Aparat that's intentional, of course, you would know then. But unintentional means you committed without even realizing that that's an aparat. So someone that's around you may point it out, and you have to be humble enough to accept the fact that in this process, in this path, this particular activity is considered aparat. So then you learn from it. Unintentional ones will come up, yes. In fact, everybody's life. I remember some of them that I committed, I thought I was okay. And of course, 10 years later, I look back at it and say, was that me that did that? That means I've learned that no, that's not what you do. So yeah, that's a learning process. It's a learning process. Hare Krishna. That's all I can add to it at this point.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anusuya Prabhu, did you want to comment on anything regarding these questions?
She's not home. She's coming from the temple. So if she's on the
Okay.
road, I don't know whether she's going to be able to.
Okay, no problem. Yes, Prabhu, I also agree with you totally. I just wanted to add that how to know the heart of spiritual master. My understanding, I like to think that how to please, how to serve the spiritual master is where we need to have some understanding how to do that. Just like in several places, Srila Prabhupada mentions that, he gives the example of a couple in love. And to understand each one better, they try to understand what pleases them, what pleases each other. And so then they can accordingly have loving exchanges. Similarly, so how do we know what pleases our spiritual master? Spiritual master or the saintly souls, through their talks and through their exemplary life, like you also mentioned, we learn by observing them what they're supporting, what is their mission, what are the initiatives they are working on. And a few times they may ask or they may give instructions, which is directly, we hear about Vapu and Vani by instructions directly. They may ask us to do things, and so that is the way disciples or the devotees, they learn the heart of spiritual master. It's often not by just instructions, but by observing their activities, by observing their initiatives they are working on. So many things are said, many things are unsaid. And if one is truly having the intention to please the spiritual master, they will not need constant reminders. They will not. Just like a mother, how she takes care, how do parents take care of their children? Do they need any constant reminders? I need to check on my child, or I need to check on something to ensure it's being done properly? No, spontaneously they do it. So we have been given this opportunity to engage in sadhana bhakti. It is a regulated lifestyle. We follow regulative principles, we chant the holy names, we receive the instructions. Everything is aimed towards cultivating spontaneous habits to serve the Supreme Lord, to serve the devotees, to serve the spiritual master. So the path is there, the instructions are there, but we may not very frequently get repeated reminders. So if someone is genuinely wanting to know the heart of spiritual master, they will try to engage in serving by very careful observation, by attentive observation, and then by with affection and with lot of attention, they will engage in devotional service. Now, how do you understand whether one is going right or doing aparadhs unintentionally? So we read a lot of material again yesterday. Every year, this around Radhashtami, there is so much to read about. So aradhana word has Radha, and aparadh word also has Radha. Aparadh means against Radha. Okay. To advance spiritually, we need mercy and grace of Radharani. But if we go against the protocols, against the instructions, against the mood which has been recommended, one is committing aparadhs. One may commit them intentionally or unintentionally, but as soon as the realization is there, one should make amendments, one should atone for it. Now, first of all, how many of us realize from within our heart that Paramatma will let me know if I am committing aparadh unintentionally? because of the layers of contamination, because of all the ego and other issues called anarthas, one may not totally understand that they are doing unintentional aparadhs, and their mind may rationalize, oh, this is the way to do things. I'm justified at quitting a certain group or whatever because I was not recognized constantly, irrespective of whether it was my spiritual master's desire that I should engage in this service. So there are so many examples in day-to-day life. So one actually gets the direction from Paramatma, but often that transmission isn't effective. So then one should have a strong network of trustworthy friends, devotees, who they can go and discuss with their situations and get proper guidance. We have the resources, sadhu, guru, and shastra. That is the way one can check whether, how they can stay aligned with not committing aparadhs and how to make progress, how to make right choices for spiritual advancement, how to please spiritual master, how to please Krishna. I hope this much information gives you a lot of insight, Monica Mataji. So, Hare Krishna. All right. So, does anyone else have anything to say? Any comments? Any take-home message? Otherwise, Parikshit Prabhuji, you can take on from here.
Okay, thank you for more explanation about the two questions that were asked. So the heart, the way you explained it now, I understand, how the heart was supposed to be interpreted, the intention of the spiritual master. I was looking more at the heart in terms of the deeper thoughts of the spiritual master. That doesn't always come out, but the intention, yes, for us to be molded into good disciples and good devotees, yes, that can also come under the category of the heart of the spiritual master. So thank you for explaining it from that angle. Thank you very much. Any last questions? If not, then Anandarupa Mataji, thank you very much for coming on this morning. I'm sure we'll see you at other times too. Personally, I feel very fortunate that you agreed to do this service for the Harrisburg Room program. And dear devotees, have a night for some of you, if not all of you. It's also a holiday being Labor Day. So hopefully you can spend it in a nice Krishna conscious way. And then the rest of the week also, that goes for that. pṛcchato kripa sundhi evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you again, Mataji. Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, all the devotees.